My name is Natasha. I'm 25. I'm born and raised in the Metairie area, which is like 10 minutes from New Orleans. And my girlfriend and I own a tattoo shop in New Orleans. And I'm also a femme. So growing up, I always drew as a kid. My mom's an artist, and I believe I inherited her talent. And so even when I was little, though, instead of like watching TV, which I did, and play video games, she made me do a lot of creative projects. And so I come from a creative background. We'd be at a restaurant and I'd get antsy, and she'd like, here, honey, she'd grab a paper and a pen and she'd give it to me. Honey, draw me a dog. And she'd like go back to talking to whoever she was talking to. And I'd just like be busy doing whatever project she gave me to do. But anyway, in high school, art class was my favorite class. I would go during lunchtime and spend extra time on my drawings. But I also had another interest, which was science and biology. And so when I graduated high school and was going into college, I chose pre-med. I got into Loyola and on a scholarship, fortunately, and I just chose bio pre-med, and I didn't really know. I chose it because I knew there was money in it, and so basically the wrong reasons. But if I would have known a little bit more about art majors, I would have probably chosen art. Anyway, I don't remember at what point I started my apprenticeship. Okay, later that year. So after that year, I did bio pre-med, and I did well, but there was a couple of classes where I got like a C and a D, and I dropped my GPA, and I lost my scholarship. So I wasn't able to continue at Loyola. And also, I had torn my ACL playing soccer, and that's what led me to the physical therapy profession, which I had thought about before, but I just kind of went straight into like medical, like doctor, MD. But so I did therapy, and I was like, okay, physical therapy is great. It's a solid profession. And in the meantime, shortly after I did rehab for my knee, I kind of just had this random thought of like, how do you become a tattoo artist? And I always loved the art of tattooing, all arts basically. But I just Googled it, and I found out I had to do an apprenticeship, and so I went on Craigslist, and I saw an ad for an apprenticeship at a tattoo shop. So I grabbed all my artwork, and I went over there, and I showed it to them, and they gave me a project. They said, come back in like a week with this done, and I did, and they let me work there. So I started my apprenticeship, which is basically you work there for free, so you need to kind of have support. So, and I was living at home at the time, so it was fine. And you work there all day, and you clean up and basically do whatever they ask you to do, but you also get to watch and learn, and they teach you as you put in your dues, you know, for being there. So I did that for about a year, and then it came to a point where I needed to go back to school for myself. And once I learned how to tattoo, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I also know that it's not something that people spend their money on in recession. So I wanted to go back to school to get some sort of professional degree just in case. And so I ended up going back to Delgado for a physical therapist assistant license. It's kind of like an in-between, not as long as physical therapy, but also a really good program, kind of a middle job. And that's what I did, but I also took what I learned at the tattoo shop, and I kept that going. I never stopped tattooing. And so I completed school as a physical therapist assistant. I got my license and everything, and I got a job. And in the whole time that I was studying and attending school, I was tattooing nights and weekends. And after I got a job, I graduated, got a job, which was like super stressful. The whole school process was like, it's like a year of intense studying. But so I got a job at an outpatient clinic. I really found a nice place to work. They're open Monday through Thursday, so I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to tattoo, to have time to draw, and the clinic that I worked at was real laid back and wonderful place to work. And it kind of came to a point where I was tattooing a lot, and I would go home from my job at the clinic and immediately start tattooing. And it got to be just tiring, and I wasn't able to put in the work in my designs like I really wanted to. And so that's when my girlfriend and I decided that opening a tattoo shop was kind of the next step. We went through a lot of steps before we got there, but ultimately we ended up putting the money into this shop instead of buying a house, which was what we were going to do. Because we figured this is a good investment, and she believes in my talent. And so we're hoping, actually we're not hoping, we know that this is going to kind of bring us to our next stage of life together. But anyway, so I'm here full time now as a tattoo artist, and it's my passion, and I love it.
So, like I tell her, I've been really blessed in my job and in life, and I came across this money for my job, and I've been there for. Came across this money. Actually, it was like a money that was like pension money, and my boss had froze the account, so we were able to cash out or, invest it, and I decided to invest it. And at the time, we were thinking about the biggest investment was buying a house and starting a family, and that's what we were working through. And
yeah, like we were in the process of getting approved for loans, and we looked at like 20 houses, and we were really close to purchasing a house.
We almost closed.
And I was still working at the physical therapy clinic, yeah. And she comes up with a brilliant idea. She's like, let's not buy a house. Because we both knew that if we did that I know I would be stuck where I was working, and probably she would too.
But I wanted her to follow her dreams, and I would continue working while the shop began to grow. And eventually the plan is for me to quit my job and venture out and do other things as well. But being here and supporting her was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. She's awesome. So we stopped the house hunting, and I started looking I was like, okay, she wanted me to do this, and I knew eventually this was going to be my goal. But I didn't really think about how I was going to get there or what point it was going to happen. So I said to her, I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 100%. Like, that's it. Like, from this point forward, everything I do now is going to be for opening a shop. So that's what I did. I started looking for commercial businesses for lease, like immediately. We started driving to the areas that we thought we wanted to be in, and that's how I came across this building, but also a building across the street, which I ended up seeing first. And right after I saw that building, I saw this one for lease by owner, so it wasn't listed by any realtor. And so I just ran across the street after the realtor left, and I kind of just knocked on the door, and there was already a business here. And I was like, hi, I see the sign, can I just come and peek through? And they let me come in, and I just walked through the whole place, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is it. Like, you know, the shotgun setup is not the ideal, like, you know, the bathroom all the way in the back, but it's beautiful. The hardwood floors, the location, it's on Canal Street off the streetcar line. It's a beautiful location. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better place. 2 blocks from Carrollton. I mean, surrounded by beautiful oak trees. It's awesome. So I called the owner immediately. I was like, I want this place. And he's met with me. And this was early September of last year, 2014. And so I met up with him, and I said, I love the place. Can I have it? And he's like, well, when can you put down a deposit? And I was like, well, give me a couple weeks, because I wanted to get paperwork ready and kind of like the whole process for opening a shop. You have to go through the Louisiana Health Department, and get you have to apply, and you have to do kind of like a checklist of things in order to get a license to work here, and then you have to take that to City Hall and get an occupational license. So so I wanted to get more paperwork done before I actually paid for the place, but he's like, actually, if you really want it, you're gonna have to get it like now, because I already have people asking me about the place. And I was like, okay. So that next weekend, I think one week, I said, okay, well, I'll give you the deposit and first month's rent by this date. And he's like, okay. So I did. And we actually had some issues. We ran into some issues with our neighbors. They're fine now, but they have a pretty bad idea of a tattoo shop, which is understandable because there are some shops that are less professional than others. And so his perception of it was real negative. And he frightened the owner into, like, I don't know, just like this idea that it was going to be something really bad. And so the owner called me and was like, I don't think I can let you out of the place. And I was like, oh. I started freaking out. I think I actually started crying on the spot. And I said, well, can I come and talk to the neighbor? And so I did, and I was able to finally convince the owner to let me be here, because the neighbor still wasn't
Too thrilled.
too thrilled about this being a tattoo shop. He thought it was going to be really bad for the neighborhood. Okay. So we both play soccer. I started playing when I was about 9, and I don't know, how old were you?
I was 13, but I always played for fun. But in high school, I knew that I didn't even know I was that good, but I was really good in high school.
So that's how we met. We met playing soccer, and So actually, in this, like, we make 7 years in February, and this whole time we still play soccer. Like, we have a game Sunday. It's really, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met playing soccer. We had we were both playing at an indoor facility. That's where we met. We both had a mutual friend. She was, lesbian. And I was on a different team than her at the time. It's hard. I'm trying to remember all this.
Yeah, I think I was trying to recruit her on my team.
So they talked about me as Rapunzel, first of all, because I had long hair. And I was a threat, apparently. But we had this mutual friend who she hung out with as well as I did. And so I ended up going out to this club one weekend and with this mutual friend. And in the car, she told me that Monica, she told me a little bit of history of Monica. And
History.
a little bit of like a short, brief history. And I was like, okay, like she's lesbian. And because I didn't know off the bat.
Me either.
We just met and, we're friendly with each other. And, God, this is hard to remember. So that's how I found out that she was into girls, was through a mutual friend who knew her longer than I did. Well, obviously, because I just met her through this person. And so from that point on, I pursued like more than just a friendship because I knew that she was a lesbian. And so I don't know how you found out about me.
I think the same
Actually.
way. The same way. When you walked into the club, here's the...
But who told you that I was into it? Okay. So the mutual friend was trying to get with me. And it wasn't like that. And that's how Monica found out about me. And she's like, oh, okay, so she swings that way. That's right? Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So then we pursued each other once we found that out. I ended up going to, I don't even remember what it was. We were out and my friend went to the restroom and she's like, hold my phone. So I did, and as soon as I did that, like I quickly looked up Monica's number and to get put in my phone. And then I texted her and I was like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm with so and so. And we ended up meeting that night. And the rest is history. 2 weeks later, I asked her if she would be my girlfriend. And like 3 weeks later, I was like, I love you. I could feel it. Like I just said it because I felt it and I knew. Like it was just
you whole.
It felt right.
Boy, you whole lesbian.
Even if
we didn't move in.
Yeah.
No, move in.
No, we spent time. We spent time
I had my
getting to know
own
each
place.
other. I was living at home, so I was going to school. Like we spent time hanging out and not like spending every waking moment with each other. Not that I didn't want to. Like I still felt like I felt like I wanted to be with her all the time. It was hard, like in the beginning, because we were both real busy too. But anyway, even if we're not together in 20 years, like I still love her as a person, as a friend. She's a good person. Like she is such a good person, and I'm not gonna cry. No cry zone.
No cry zone.
But I feel it.
No cry zone.
I feel it in my nose. And my stepmom apparently would tell my dad that I guess she thought I was a lesbian, and he was just like, oh. Like, he doesn't think about stuff like that, I guess. So when I told my dad, like, he was great. We went to lunch. We talked for like 2 hours or something, and that, of course, was the last subject on the list at lunchtime. But yeah, nothing changed. When I told my mom, like, she didn't have a negative reaction. She thought maybe that I was just kind of like experimenting or just, you know, I don't know, I guess seeing what's out there. And I knew in my mind that it wasn't that, but it was okay because I knew that I would end up showing her that I was a lesbian, true, like at heart, you know, that I really was. I wasn't just experimenting. And now, like, she and my mom have this like really funny, cute relationship, and she loves Layla, her daughter, and my dad's family. My dad calls Layla his granddaughter. There's a lot of ins. She made it, like, she's in, like, with my family, like, really, really well. They love her, and I mean, what's not to love? Look at this. But yeah, for me, it was more stressful for me than for my family. It was hard for me to come out, but
yeah. I think my family knew, but I was always dating guys because that's what I knew that they wanted to see. And I think when I had my daughter and you know, I stopped completely having guys over. I think my sister figured it out more than anyone. And she would just, when I told her, she's like, okay, you know, like, I already knew. So, and pass the pepper. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Same thing with my mom. But her thing was like, which was kind of weird at the beginning, was that she would say things like, you know, don't tell your aunt yet, you know, just, you know, don't tell her yet, or don't tell your uncle. You know, which was weird, and now everyone has come to accept her, and everyone loves her, and
go to all the family parties.
Yeah, Spanish people are crazy, and she goes.
No, it's cool. We had fortunately a very good coming out experience. So we've been very fortunate. I've heard many stories of terrible situations. So I'm very thankful for the acceptance of my family. I'm not really out to like my extended family. They don't really live here. My mom's whole side of the family lives in Argentina. My mom's the only one here from her family. And the rest of my dad's, like my aunts. I think one of my aunts knows, but his brothers, his mom, his 2 sisters, none of them live here. None of my cousins live here. So it's kind of difficult. I'm not sure how that coming out experience will be. They're pretty old-fashioned German. Like my grandmother and my aunt still have a German accent, so they're pretty traditional, kind of old-fashioned. They love me, so I don't think it'll be hard. It'll be different. It'll be coming out again, and but whatever, you know. We knew no matter what the costs were that we wanted to be together. I knew for a fact that I would never date men, boys, guys, whatever you want to call them, just to be accepted. I was never kind of like into that following type thing. I knew I was going to do it, and I didn't give 2 shits about who liked it and who didn't.
We usually get the, well, you guys are so pretty, or, you know, like, what?
It's tough. I pick and choose who I decide to tell.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I feel like I'm really worried about what other people's reactions are, and I shouldn't be. But sometimes I just don't want to deal with a negative reaction. So I just say I have a boyfriend, or I don't know. Like there are times where I try to avoid it. Thankfully, the people that I have told have not given me, like I guess I pick and choose wisely. But I just get more of a surprised reaction, like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
but I think I've learned that if you're comfortable, then they'll be comfortable. Because if I'm apprehensive to the way that I say it, then they'll feel like this kind of like, oh, okay. But nowadays,
just like quickly,
yeah,
like, oh,
like,
me and my girlfriend, like, you know,
yeah.
just kind of go off on that.
I think I've done that.
Real calm, real nonchalant. Like, people don't really like what.
At work, I think I've been at my job for 9 years, and I remember the first time that they found out, and it was like 4 years later.
Really?
3 years later or so. And they were just like, what? Like, you never, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, I would have lunch dates with guys, but they were friends, they weren't actually boyfriends. Or they weren't guys I was dating, they were just really my friends. But they'll be like, oh, you're going out on a date? And I'm like, yeah, you know, but no, not really.
They automatically assume the fact that she identifies with more femininely, that she was straight.
Yeah. So it was harder for them. But they accepted me and they absolutely love the idea. And they love her. When she comes to work, it's like, oh, she's here, you know, and they treat her like, they respect, you know, they love her and they know.
Fortunately, like, I haven't had the experience where someone's like, you're too pretty to be gay. Like, I don't know what I'd do in that situation, honestly. But I mean, I know that I know it happens a lot, and I don't understand that. I don't understand.
Well, we had our 6-year anniversary dinner at
So fancy.
Yeah, and so we were there, and she's like drawing. Of course, she's drawing.
They have the paper on the tables.
So she's gonna.
I love when they have the paper on the tables because I always draw on them. It's so great. I feel like a kid again, and I'm like, "Do you have a pen? Thank you." And I do some like really crazy script on it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Happy no.
Forever.
Okay.
Today, tomorrow,
And
always. That's like our thing. Today, tomorrow, always. And so she's like script writing, like today, tomorrow, always, like beautiful. And then I remember the waitress came by. She's like, oh, and she kind of did this like double take, like,
I get it.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, you too. Okay, now I get it. So this whole time she didn't know. But the same thing, we were both dressed up as femmes, and that's what happens.
Yeah, anniversary dinners are fun because you walk in and, you know, like, I guess I'm anticipating some weird reaction. Mostly it's just looks, but nothing inappropriate.
But we're not doing any PDA.
Yeah, I think we don't ask for it either. Like, we will hold hands or do something like, I don't know, like, I'll do something like this, but I don't make out with her. I don't ask for this, like, unwanted attention, and I don't know if I'd do that if I was straight either. You know, I don't know. But, I don't know if we kissed, would it attract attention that if a straight couple kissed would attract. And so, I don't know.
Rather not even try.
What's it like being a lesbian in Louisiana? It's interesting because we live in a city. It's pretty diverse, very multicultural. city, but yet we're surrounded by a lot of areas that are pretty homophobic. And being in the South, Louisiana, I wonder if we're going to be the last state to finally allow gay marriage. But I have hope. But for me, being a lesbian in Louisiana, I feel like is not as bad because I do live in New Orleans. Like I said, which is very, a bit more accepting than some areas around the outskirts of Louisiana. So I think being a lesbian in general, you automatically enter this world of hardships that you don't run into as a straight woman or a straight man, regardless of where you live. So it's hard at times because it is such a mixed city. I don't know, I get acceptance, but I also get weird looks. But at the same time, I don't care. And I'm not going to stop being the person I am for acceptance of someone who is not happy with themselves.
And same, I think I've been fortunate, but I haven't had a lot of bad experiences. And the same thing, I've had a few looks sometimes. But I get looks because I have tattoos, so it doesn't even matter anymore. But it's all about you and being true to yourself, and keep pushing forward, and be respectful.
I feel like it is harder. A lot of people are in harder situations than we are living here. Yes, New Orleans is a small city, but at the same time, it's a small, very kind of mixed place, and a lot of weird stuff happens, weirder than homosexuality in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So, a lot of weird stuff. So, I'm probably one of the less unaccepted people compared to some of the strange people of New Orleans. But that's why it's such a loved, diverse, awesome place to be. So multicultural. So, yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Chanel Brown, and I am the inspirational blogger for Fab and the creator of the Visionaire House, and I'm a Femme. When I first came out officially, it wasn't until my early 20s, which is kind of late in gay years. However, I had a real issue with wanting to make sure that I understood my sexuality, my identity, considering the issues I had growing up. And by the time I finally told my mom, I did it because I was dating this girl who, of course, I was absolutely in love with and thought it would be, she would be my happily ever after. So I thought, okay, my family needs to know about her and me and everything. So I gathered all my brothers and my mom, and I had this whole speech laid out. And by the time I was like, okay, everyone, I just need to let you know that so-and-so is actually my girlfriend because I'm gay, everyone cracked up laughing. And at first I was really thrown off, and everyone just kept saying, duh, yeah, we knew, we figured it out, yeah, we know. And it was such a sign of relief. I think that even in the most loving homes, you kind of have like a fear of letting people see this most vulnerable side of you that, you know, the world at large sometimes rejects. And so, especially with people that you love, you don't want them to reject you too. But having that response just reminded me that, you know, the people that really care and matter in your life are always going to support you for you, regardless of who you choose to spend the rest of your life with or sleep with or date or whatever. When I first understood that I like girls, immediately had a flashback of my whole entire life, and I was just like, no, it can't be me. Even though I have a lot of gay friends, even though like I always encourage people to express themselves openly, when it came to myself, I was very, very tough on myself. I read books. I read books about the psychology behind, you know, how do they say it? It's, I'll just leave that part out because I can't remember. But when I first came out, I kept saying I was bisexual, even though I knew I didn't have any real interest in men. Up until that point, I had been with the same guy who, you know, was constantly cheating on me because we never would have sex. And I still wanted to be with him because he was like my best friend. And then when I started liking girls, it just felt safer to say I was bisexual. It kind of gave me that safety net just in case the right guy came along and I can just go back without the gay world being mad at me. When I finally came into terms that yes, in fact, I am into girls, I'm a girl who's into girls, I think that's when my life started to change. And I started to feel a lot happier, and this weight on my shoulders I didn't know that I was carrying was lifted. And slowly but surely, all the other things in my life that I was suppressing, as far as not expressing myself in, it became a hindrance. Like now I'm at the point where I have to express myself. I have to let people know who I am and show them who I am. The challenges I face as a feminine identified lesbian is the list goes on. It's a daily coming out issue. You know, when I'm going to work, do I come out again to this employee and that employee? When I'm walking down the street and someone approaches me, you know, if I say no or I'm not interested and they persist, do I come out to them then? You know, once I'm in the gay club and, you know, I'm dressed feminine, I'm dressed comfortable, I'm dressed in my heels, I'm dressed the way that I like to dress. I'm coming out again to, you know, other people in the community. So it's kind of like this double standard, you know, where we teach everyone to be themselves and to really hone in on what that is, but then we press a label on them, and with that label comes this image of what that's supposed to look like. Especially when I first came out, I'm thinking, oh, in order to be a lesbian, I have to tone down. I can't wear polished nails. I can't have my hair done all the time. I need a shortcut, some tattoos, some piercings, need my leather jacket, you know, and, you know, some of those things I just wasn't into. I have no tattoos. It doesn't mean that I like lesbians any less than the next chick. You know, I've been assaulted by men who just were very furious that I was walking down the street holding hands with a girlfriend, and would literally like pusher and get in my face, I've been, attacked, and it hurts. It hurts, especially when you're having discussions within the community with other people of the LGBT, and they try to belittle the idea that I have less issues than them because I'm not a stud or transgender, or I haven't gone through some huge transition physically. But sometimes just the idea of literally honing in on who you are right now is just as, or equally as, a challenge as changing how you dress and look and things of that sort. So yeah, being a feminist is no easy task. And to add to that, I would just say that it's not that it's easier or more stressful than anything else. We are all striving to find our place in this world, belonging, where we feel comfortable and free to just be ourselves and walk down the street safely. We deserve that, but we do each fight our own battles, and that is mine. In the beginning, when people would question if I were really a lesbian or not, I'd kind of joke it off. Then later on, I would start doubting myself, to the point that, after a breakup, I would go and start reading books or go on a date with a guy just to make sure I didn't have a little niche somewhere in there. But now when people doubt me and question me about knowing who I am, it makes me angry. It makes me sad. It makes me wonder, who are you to come at me and judge me? And especially because you don't know my history, you don't know my path, you don't know the efforts I've put in to master myself, to really understand myself and my place in this world. And I think that because we come at this from a place of hurt, because other people have been hurt and they've been judged, they think now it's okay to place that judgment on others in a way where they don't even realize that they're affecting them. And really, I think that's what encourages me to write. Everything I write is always about instilling, courageous acts, empowering people to really just stand their ground and not allow the opinions of others to have them question what they already know about themselves. I refuse to let someone think that it's okay to ask me questions like, are you sure you're gay? Or, maybe you just haven't been with the right guy. How many guys have you dated? That type of shit pisses me off. And I'm quick to let them know, no, I know who I am. That's okay. I got this. We don't look at a straight person and go, you just haven't found the right girl yet. You'll be gay soon. That's not fair. And, that's kind of where I stand with that. Okay, there's definitely a stigma with homosexuality in the Black community. I think there's a lot of things that we deal with culturally as Black people. It's just so intricate. It's hard to say that it's because of one thing. But as far as religion goes, you have these communities where Christianity and religion play a big part in their roles. We are very spiritual beings, and I feel like as a culture of Black people, this is tough for me. Hold on, let me start over. It's hard for me to speak in general of how I depict homosexuality's influence in the Black community, because I feel like it's too intricate to just speak of right now without a full-on discussion and babbling and getting all wound up about it. But my history, my story, my experience is really the idea that spirituality is a connection within your soul that you have with a higher spirit. And we confuse that with religion, which is an ongoing practice of how to communicate with that soul and that God. And we have these people, because of Christianity, because it's been here for so many thousands of years, we think this is the right way. And we forget this was actually written by men. This is actually thought process in which we could be misinterpreting. Not saying we are or we're not, but it's a possibility. And that having that open mind growing up has allowed me to free myself. I don't believe that I'd be born with this sense of connection with a woman if it were something that was so bad. And I once read an article where people were saying, if a killer feels good about killing somebody, does that make it right? And it's the same with homosexuality, and I beg to differ. But a lot of religious groups point really unrealistic comparisons like that to justify homosexuality being a mind disease. And it's just not true. I believe spiritually anything that we do, if it's replicated in nature, it is something that is natural. And that is my belief. And as far as religion goes, you can take it to extreme off the word and thoughts of someone else's interpretation, or you can take on a spiritual journey to understand and bring on an individual meaning for yourself. And as far as like having community, having an open discussion with that, I think sometimes with religious groups, we tend to recycle the same thought process. We don't challenge what we've heard or what we're reading or what we're saying. We just take it in. So when we hear from our communities, oh, homophobia is bad, we just say it's bad. Forget all the other sins that you're doing. Forget the abuse that your uncle did to you, and the judgments that you have, and the sins you committed with adultery and stealing. Forget all of that. Homosexuality is the worst thing ever. And I don't know. For me, having my spiritual journey just allows me to not push them away with judgment, but to understand, have a discernment, for their path and how they're thinking, and not allow it to impress on my thoughts and how I perceive the world, whether I'm having some type of religious type of practice in my spirituality or not. So I've only watched the show one time all the way through. And the reason being is that I don't want to relive something I've outgrown. When I did watch it, I quickly saw how naive I was, how open I was, or how anxious I was to fall in love and be in love, that I wasn't catching things about myself. I wasn't speaking up for myself in moments that I should. I wasn't being truthful to myself. And, afterwards having all these people make all these assumptions about me, on little blogs and stuff, people were saying that I was a hoe, that I was gay for pay because I was a femme, that, there's no way that I would date Saj because in their opinion, she was too ugly. And, I thought she was beautiful. I was really in love with her, and people assumed that, it was just for the show, but we were together for 2 years, But having had the experience, it really pushed me to open up. It pushed me to step into what I'm doing now. I would have never had the courage to start my own blog, to write for, the Femme, if it hadn't been for this experience, and really letting people know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to talk about. I want to share something with you. I want to help you, the way I had wished I had someone to help me. And, dealing with the other cast members, it really let me get some insight into how not just Hollywood, but the world works. You have a moment, you get opportunities all the time in life, and you have to seize it. But it's hard to seize something if you're not ready or open to really going for it. Yeah, at first I thought, after the breakup, it would like open all these doors for me in the dating world, but it actually hinders me because even though it was a while ago when the show first aired, it re-airs each year, and people who find out want to talk to me, but they're not really interested in getting to know me. They're interested in, my connects, and I don't know, they think I'm just so well connected and that I got all the hookups on everything that they would need to get their life on track. And I get crazy messages still. Personally, I do not like being single in the gay world. Ugh. When I first started really dating women, I jumped from one relationship to the other. In fact, like my first relationship, I ended it with my second girlfriend sitting right next to me. And after that second relationship, I was single for about a year. I spoke to one girl for 3 months, but ended up dating this whole new girl who I was with for 2 years. And now I've been single for over 2 years now, which is really crazy. The best part that I love about being single is that I get to explore myself all over again, get to update myself with my interests and my likes. And I think maturity comes with that. But as far as like dating other people, I quickly realized that not everybody takes in that same type of insight. Not everybody wants to push themselves to do the work that's required to own yourself, to really own your power, to really ensure that you are a whole person before you welcome some new person in your life. We're looking for somebody to replace or fill in a hole. And it speaks volumes when I meet someone. I can have a first date and, by the way the conversation's going, I could tell right away. If you're going to mention sex to me in the first date, we're not compatible. If you want to stay up all night talking to me about some drama and some chaos happening in your life that you created because you're messy like that, no, we're not compatible. And on top of that, you got people who are, serial daters and date everybody, that you realize that everybody knows everyone. So after my last long-term relationship, I realized that I know a lot more people than I realized. I'm connected to a lot more people than I realized. And it's a scary feeling because, the opinions of my friends or the things that they've done with other people do have sort of an influence on if I choose to consider them as someone I would date or not. So being picky in general hurts me. Being picky because of additional things hurts me too. And then on top of it, the people that are left, if you're also just someone who's just looking to date and you're not someone who's really trying to get to know me, that hurts too. It's just an all-around fuck fest, seriously, like. But the longer I'm single, the more I can appreciate the journey that I'm having. I'd rather wait for someone who's most compatible with me and just get to know the other people in the community and really understand them. And find someone else who's doing the same as me. So being a femme and a femme of color has its perks. You know, I believe that the lesbian culture in the Black community differs from, you know, other cultures, but to really play a part in the community as a whole, you know, you learn a lot about yourself. I think that it's a blessing when people discover this innate sense that they're different from people in such a huge way. It forces you onto a spiritual path. It forces you to really understand and learn yourself. And I think that people learning more about, you know, the femme culture, I don't think it's to distinguish or to separate us, but to just highlight, you know, the uniqueness of the women out there who are just happen to look a certain way and feel, you know, feel a certain way as well. And I love that. You know, I love that I don't fit into norms like that. I love that I can be an example of love in an unorthodox way. And I love being me.